Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, April 5th. I'm Brian Boudreau.
And I'm Krista McDonald. It's great to have you with us as we end another week here in Norwood.
This week on Norwood News, we take a look at the election results from earlier this week. We learn how you can purchase a rain barrel, and Norwood says goodbye to a legend. But first, we all know it's been a seller's market in the real estate game. Last year, Norwood clocked the second highest real estate transaction in Norfolk County. The Upland Woods apartment complex with 262 units sold for just over $114 million. Chairman of Norwood's Board of Assessors, Tim McDonough, says that's not even the highest sale in recent years.
Actually, believe it or not, the highest price for property was just a couple of years ago in a similar situation. It was Windsor Gardens. That sold for $270 million. And it was kind of crazy at the time because I kept getting calls from investors from New York, and they kept asking me, what if they paid that kind of money, what would the assessment be? Would it change? Obviously the assessment would change, but we can't assess it based upon sales price. We have to have backup information based upon income approach, how much money they generate. And on that particular one, it just didn't make sense. And I was trying to get it out of the prospective buyers. And what it was is a lot of these deals are offshore foreign companies that are looking for a long-term investment. So it doesn't make sense, it doesn't fit the mold of a short-term or even near-term investment for somebody looking to put some money aside. And in most cases, and I think in that particular case, it was a Chinese company that they don't really think about 10, 20 years. They think about 40, 50 years. So they'll pay whatever the market will demand. It'll be coming up this year on the tax rolls because it just happened during the fiscal year 24, which was in 2023. The state wants us to be at close to 95% of what market value is. And that's pretty easy to do if you're doing residential properties, because you can go on, say, Elm Street, and you see a colonial sold here and one sold here. You can factor that in. When you have a dynamic like a large apartment complex, it makes it a little more difficult. There's three approaches. There's a cost approach. How much would it cost to rebuild it? Income approach is usually what is used. How much money will it generate for an investor? And a sales approach, which is, all right, find a similar type property that is sold. Well, there aren't that many 200-unit complexes that sell.
It was a slow day at the polls on Monday. According to unofficial results from the clerk's office, the annual town election voter turnout was 11.1%. There was only one contested race on the ballot this year. Two candidates ran for one seat on the Housing Authority, and Judy Langone won the race against Bill Breen. Langone claimed 1,162 votes, while Breen brought in 640 votes.
When Norwood News returns, Heather Owens from Progress Norwood explains how you can purchase a rain barrel. Joe Della Carpini informs us of the total solar eclipse on the horizon, and Ron Marshalsea will have the latest in sports.
Hi, I'm Katie Neal Rizzo with Progress Norwood, here to remind you about our annual Norwood Earth Day Cleanup, Community Picnic, and Fair. On Sunday, April 21st from 10 to 11:30, we'll have cleanups at all of the schools around town, various green spaces and parks. And you can sign up to volunteer for the cleanup at Earth Day Norwood 2024. If you would like to attend the fair afterwards, we're going to be meeting down here at Town Common. There will be over 30 different community organizations, vendors, and groups, all committed to sustainability and environmentalism. You can see groups such as the Neponset River Watershed Association, Norwood Conservation Commission, Norwood Trails Committee, Neponset Valley Beekeepers. There's a number of different groups. You can come and learn about all the things they're doing and how you can take part. Again, it's April 21st from 10 to 11:30 is the cleanup. The fair is from 11:30 to 1:30. and the rain location is the Norwood High School Gymnasium. If you have any questions, feel free to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, Progress Norwood, or you can check us out at, again, the sign-up website for volunteering for the cleanup is tinyurl.com/EarthDayNorwood2024. Thank you.
Progress Norwood and the Norwood DPW have partnered with the Great American Rain Barrel Company to make purchasing a rain barrel much easier. Heather Olins from Progress Norwood talks about the benefits of using a rain barrel and how you can order one.
Hi, I'm Heather Olins with Progress Norwood. We are doing our annual rain barrel sale again, and I'd like to encourage you to consider purchasing a rain barrel for your home. Rain barrels can reduce residential water costs by up to 40%. They can be great in summer drought conditions. They can also be really helpful managing residential storm events. If you have a particularly flood-prone corner of your house, putting a rain barrel on the outside there can be really helpful. They also help your community by slowing down runoff pollution during storm events and by decreasing the total amount of water that water treatment facilities have to process. So, Progress Norwood and Norwood Public Works have partnered with the Great American Rain Barrel Company to try to make these rain barrels as accessible as possible. We don't earn any money from this. We just want to get as many rain barrels into Norwood as possible. The Great American Rain Barrel Company repurposes high-quality, food-grade, BPA-free plastic bins into rain barrels. You can set one up in your home. You can set a few of them up together for a larger system. You can attach a hose to gravity feed your garden, or you can use a watering container. I often just bring my watering can out and then bring the water back into the house to water my house plants. They come in a bunch of different colors for $89 as opposed to $145 is the online retail price. You can order them through the town website. You can also go to the Great American Rain Barrel Company website, look for their Community Partners program, find Norwood. We need orders by April 14th at midnight, and the pickup for these rain barrels is Saturday, April 27th between 9.
On April 8th, 2024, a total solar eclipse will cross North America, passing over Mexico, the United States, and Canada. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon passes between the sun and Earth, completely blocking the face of the sun. Joe Della Carpini from the National Weather Service explains how a solar eclipse happens.
Hi everyone, this is Joe Della Carpini. I'm a meteorologist and the Science and Operations Officer with the National Weather Service's Boston office, which is located in Norton. And I'm also a Norwood resident. We're here today to talk about the total solar eclipse that will be visible in the Northeast on Monday, April 8th. So to begin, this is a look at the path of the totality of the eclipse, and notice it runs from roughly Texas up into portions of the Ohio Valley and into the eastern Great Lakes, much of upstate New York and northern New England. And notice while Norwood is not directly in the path of totality, we can expect about 92.5% coverage of the sun. So most of it will be obscured by the moon, and that maximum coverage occurs right at 3:29 p.m. on Monday. Now the image in the map shows our average cloud cover for April 8th, and you can see in the Northeast there's actually typically a lot of cloud cover shown by some of the orange colors, especially in and around the Great Lakes and kind of coinciding with that path of totality. A little bit further south into southern New England, notice we've got more in the way of greenish colors, and that represents about 60% of cloud cover on the sky typically. But as we'll talk about here in the forecast, it's actually looking a little bit better than that on next Monday. So here's just a brief look at the timing of the solar eclipse here in Norwood. It begins at about 2:16 p.m. That will be when the edge of the moon first just starts touching the sun. It really won't be very noticeable. And then, as I mentioned, our maximum of the eclipse, about 92.5% coverage, will be at 3:29 p.m. And that's, again, when the sun will be at its most hidden position. And then the solar eclipse will end around 4:39 p.m., and that's when the last edge of the moon will leave the edge of the sun. So, again, it's roughly right around 3:29 p.m. is the maximum. It won't get completely dark here, but you'll notice probably a little bit darker conditions than usual during the afternoon. Now, here's what the eclipse will look like around the region, and obviously the farther north you go, the more of the sun will be obscured. And on the left, you can see the path of totality in northern New England. And that covers much of the northern part of Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine, as well as a lot of upstate New York around the Great Lakes as well. So those are really the areas where you're going to have the full obscuration of the sun. Notice, though, even into portions of southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, it'll be pretty much obscured there as well, close to 100%. And then obviously the further south you go, the less of the moon will be covering the sun. But again, here in Norwood, it's about 92.5%, which is most of that. And you can see a little zoom up on the right here, kind of what it will look like in different cities around the region. And again, if you just head a little bit north, just over the Massachusetts border, you'll certainly see a lot more of the obscuration. And again, just a safety reminder, you never look directly at the sun in these cases. It can cause eye damage. You want to use special eclipse glasses or even a pinhole projector. And you can find a lot of these options for safe viewing with a simple online search. So again, don't look directly at the sun during the eclipse. So what about the weather? Well, we've been getting a lot of questions about that. And actually, it looks pretty favorable on next Monday. Really no big storms in sight. And this is a weather map for next Monday morning. You can see really not much happening in the Northeast. We have high pressure off the coast of the Virginias. There is a little bit of a weak cold front here that's coming down out of Canada. It's not going to really produce any rain, but there could be some cloudiness with it. I think most of that would be limited areas, north of the greater Boston area, maybe more toward the Great Lakes. So at the worst, there might be some clouds in that path of totality there. But right now, it's not looking too bad even in those areas. And as we get closer, obviously, we'll be able to nail down those exact details on the forecast. I would anticipate over the weekend we'll have a pretty good idea as far as the cloud cover goes. So what about, some early looks? Well, we can look at some of the computer model data to kind of show us kind of a first guess. And again, we're looking several days out, so this is going to change. It's not going to be pretty much locked in several days ahead. But here's a look at one model sky cover forecast. And the dark areas are essentially clear skies, the brighter, whiter areas where there are clouds. And notice there's maybe a few clouds across western New York and maybe around the Catskills. But overall in the Northeast, really looking at overall clear skies. And this is for 2 p.m. Monday, so just before the eclipse really gets going. But again, the clouds are limited across southern Canada where that cold front was located. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape, especially down here in the Boston area. And just to take a look at another computer model forecast, again, showing largely clear skies throughout much of the Northeast. This model has more clouds across the Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley, which kind of goes along with that path of totality there. But again, in the Northeast, it's actually looking pretty good. So we'll kind of hope that holds as we head over the next few days. So how can we get weather updates? Well, whether you're staying here in Norwood or maybe traveling north to view the eclipse, you can get your forecast from the National Weather Service here on our webpage. You can go directly to the Boston office page, which is weather.gov/Boston. You'll see a little box up on the top left part of the screen. You can enter the location, and here I've entered Norwood. And you can just click on Norwood, Mass, USA, or maybe you're going up to Vermont, so you want to put Burlington, Vermont in there, or maybe out toward upstate New York, out toward Syracuse or Watertown. You can put those locations in here as well, or enter a zip code. And what you'll see is a worded forecast on the top, but what I want to point your attention to is something we have called an hourly weather graph, and this will give you kind of an hour-by-hour forecast, especially for sky cover, which I know will be important during Monday afternoon. So if you scroll down past the worded forecast that you'll see, on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a little graph icon, and you want to go ahead and click on that. And when you do, you'll get our hourly weather graph. And this gives you a number of different weather elements. So it's actually good for even outside of the eclipse, just for day-to-day forecasts. But you'll see things like temperature on here, humidity. You'll see some wind graphs on here along with wind speed. But if you go to the lower part, you'll see in the blue, that's actually the sky cover in percent. So you'll notice it's a graph of sky cover hour by hour. And here I've blocked off the time on Monday for much of the day. And you can see that sky cover is actually going to be pretty low, on the order of 10, 20% or so. So that means probably some pretty good viewing here in Norwood, at least at the moment. But again, this is something you can check. It's updated several times throughout the day. And this will always give you the latest forecast information for a single location. So again, use it for Norwood, use it if you're heading up to Burlington, maybe out towards Syracuse, Watertown, to really get a good view of the eclipse. So again, that's our sky cover forecast, which is in the hourly weather graph feature. So with that, that's a quick look at what we can expect here in Norwood as far as the totality of the eclipse. Again, it will not be here, but will be about 92.5% obscured. So most of the sun will be dimmed by the moon. But again, you really have to head north into northern New England, upstate New York, to be in that path of totality. If you are traveling there, be aware there will be probably quite a bit of traffic. So allow yourself plenty of extra time to get there, drive safely. And again, please don't view directly at the eclipse. Use safety glasses or any other things, other ways you can find online. So again, I'm Joe Deli Carpini from the National Weather Service, and we'll talk to you next time.
Now we send it over to Lucy Scafati for the latest in school news.
I'm Lucy Scafati, and let's take a look at what's happening in our Norwood schools. Norwood High School has been conducting instructional rounds. This is a process that schools use to better understand teaching and learning in schools in order to improve learning. To learn more, here is Principal Dr. Hugh Galligan.
Norwood High School is participating in a process known as instructional rounds. Instructional rounds are when teachers, administrators from the school level and the central office, and department leadership all work together in small groups to look at one specific thing that we want to improve around teaching and learning. This year, we've done this 4 times, and what we're working on here is having our students have greater exposure to, frequency in, and achievement in higher order thinking skills. So these are really high level critical thinking skills such as analysis, synthesis, critical problem solving, and creating and designing. And so we're really working on increasing the exposure to that for our students, and our teachers have really been working that over time. You're looking at some collaboration and some great collaboration that we do during the debrief process. We visit about 20 classrooms over a morning, and then we compare data that we gather there to see how we're doing as a school, to see how our staff and students are doing on improving our ability to work with higher order thinking skills for our students. It's a really great process. It's brought a sense of collegiality and flat leadership to our school where we have all of these different folks working together on the same problem of practice. We've expanded it from Norwood High School throughout the district, and we're really excited for what this is going to bring and improve teaching and learning for Norwood High School students.
The Coakley Middle School 8th Grade Activities Committee is having a raffle to support this year's events. The grand prize is 4 tickets to Zach Bryan at Gillette Stadium on July 17th. The second prize is a half cord of wood from Minuteman Landscape Supply, and third prize is a $100 gift card to Lewis's. Venmo donations at Coakley Norwood PTO or checks payable to Coakley PTO. At the Balch School, instructional technology specialist Laura Mullen worked with 2nd grade students to produce a public service announcement about honesty. Let's watch their video.
Breaking news, honesty is the best policy.
Our 2nd graders are going back and redoing times they were not honest.
Take a look.
I took a cookie and I lied about it. Let's do it that again.
Did you eat a cookie?
Yes. And I'm sorry.
Please act next time.
Okay. And I'm also sorry again.
Okay. I take money from my sister. Let's try that again. I'm sorry, I take your money.
It's okay. I hope you don't do it next time.
Oh my God! We have to be honest. Let's tell her. Yeah, let's do it. Miss Lava there?
Yeah.
We accidentally broke your bongo drum.
Oh, I'm sure it was an accident, and I really appreciate you telling me. I really thank you for your honesty.
We were playing with it and then we broke it by accident.
Well, I was playing it and I broke it on accident.
Oh, well, I really appreciate your honesty. You know, accidents happen, and you know what I always say. I thank you for being honest. You know, accidents happen, but it's not an on purpose, right? So thank you guys for letting me know.
Take care, Senyon. Remember, Welch students. Even when it's hard, you got this. Always be honest!
At the Callahan School, Miss Wood's class created a class recipe book. Students brought in a recipe from their family culture to share with their class. The class used Book Creator, a digital tool that enables students to create, read, and design books. This was a fun assignment, and the students learned a lot about each other. Mrs. Ferrioli's first grade class at the Cleveland School had an exciting visit with Domino, a facility dog for children, and his owner, Michelle Sweeney, a lead physical therapist. Domino proved to be a fabulous listener as students took turns reading from their books. At the Oldham School, second grade EL students have been hard at work composing their own personal narratives. Students have engaged in each step of the writing process, beginning with brainstorming topics and creating a plan. From there, they have written a draft, edited it, and are now working to publish their story in a book. Students focused on discussing their ideas in complete sentences and adding sensory details while creating their stories. Third grade EL students have been conducting independent research on a person during their biography unit. Each student read a book and took notes on the life of a famous person. They used that information to write a report, create a poster display, and compose a speech written as if they were that person. Students presented their completed projects to families and the school community at the Wax Museum in the cafeteria. Fifth grade EL students have been discussing different text structures and the features of each one. Recently, they have been focusing on finding text evidence that helps them to identify the structure of the text that they are reading. Students work in small groups and independently to put their skills into action. Over at the Prescott School, students in Miss Fico's third grade class have adopted a class pet, a 1,000-pound dairy cow named Penelope. Penelope was adopted through the Discovery Dairy program. This cross-curricular lesson series teaches not only about where milk comes from, but also how dairy farms contribute to the world. The real Penelope lives on a farm in New Hampshire, and Miss Fico's class gets updates every few months. They even have a growth chart with their heights, and they keep track of Penelope as she grows. Students enjoy taking home a stuffed Penelope and writing about her adventures in a journal. Recently, Miss Fico's class created a cow dance video to enter a contest to win an ice cream party. Penelope is the best class pet ever. At the Little Mustangs preschool, children are learning about how to take good care of their teeth. Preschool classes were lucky enough to have a visit from Miss Erica from Pediatric and Family Dentistry of Norwood and her fuzzy friend Flossie. Students learned that they should brush their teeth at least 2 times each day to make sure they take the time to brush on the outside, inside, and tops of their teeth. The kids love Flossie's big toothbrush. Miss Erica also brings gloves and tools children will see at a dentist's office and explains in a child-friendly way what the dentist does. This is to help calm fears children might have when they visit the dentist. Miss Erica and Flossie always bring a lot of smiles to our Little Mustangs. That's it for school news this week. We appreciate all the teachers who take the time to share their news with us. It helps us provide an inside look at what's happening in our classrooms. Now, let's go across the studio to Ron Marshalsea with the latest in spring sports.
I'm Ron Marshalsea, and this is your sports update. The baseball team headed over to Hopkinton on Tuesday and got the win over the Hillers 2-0. Owen Descharnay got the start and went 4 innings on the mound and only allowed 2 hits, and Jerry Fry allowed no hits during the remaining 3 innings. Hits for the Mustangs came off the bats of Zach Badger, Owen Descharnay, Brian Dearborn, and Thomas Benson. The team will be at Millis for their next game on Friday the 5th at 4:30. The softball team couldn't get the win when they traveled to Hopkinton, but they get a rematch with the Hillers later this season. The Mustangs' next game will be in Holliston on Monday the 8th at 4:30. The boys lacrosse team gets the first win of the season, which was also Coach John Lockhead's first career win as a lacrosse coach. The boys beat Norton 9-6, and Ronan Ryan scored 5 of those goals for the Mustangs. Their next game is at home against Ashland on Monday the 8th at 5 o'clock. The girls lacrosse team started their season with a big 12-9 win over Hopkinton, but couldn't get back-to-back wins as they lost to Medfield. Quinn Brown and Sophia Venditti both scored their first varsity goals against Hopkinton, and in the Medfield loss, Bridget Sopel scored 1, Shay Larkey scored 1, and Olivia Lodge scored 2. Norwood is hosting Holliston on the 4th at 4:30, and they're headed to Sharon the next day, also at 4:30. The boys and girls track teams face off at Westwood this Friday, the 5th, at 4 o'clock. The boys volleyball team couldn't get wins against Medfield last Thursday or Dighton Rehoboth on Monday. And as of recording this sports update, the boys have not faced off with King Philip, but we'll let you know what happens on the next sports update. Both the boys and girls tennis teams took on Hopkinton on Tuesday, but neither came off the courts with a win. Neither team has faced off with Medfield yet, but as soon as we know what happens, we'll let you know on the next sports update. In collegiate news, Norwood's Christian Reyes has been named to the Northeast 10 Conference Weekly Honor Roll. Reyes, a junior, tallied a career-high 6 goals on 8 shots against Franklin Pierce last Saturday, and only halfway through the season, his 12 goals are 4 short of a career high he set last season. The Purple Knights are 5-2 overall, and in the New England Intercollegiate Lacrosse Association rankings, they are sitting at number 4. In other news of Norwood athletes doing well in college, Jay Wachowski, a senior at Bridgewater State, has been hitting very well for the Bears with a .278 average, 1 home run, and 13 RBIs so far this season. He also managed to steal 2 bases so far, both against Framingham State. And that is all I have for this sports update. I'm Ron Marshalsea.
Dancing with the Norwood Stars is back in the Tiffany Ballroom at the 4 Points on Friday, April 12th. Doors open at 7 and showtime starts at 8 o'clock sharp. Who will be the next winner of Dancing with the Norwood Stars? Tune in live to the NCM Community Channel right at 8 o'clock on April 12th to find out.
April is full of events at the Senior Center, and Director Kerry McCarthy highlights this month, including an event featuring the one and only Chief Brooks.
Hi everyone, Kerry McCarthy here, the Director of the Norwood Senior Center and Council of Aging. I am here today to highlight some of the programs that we are having during the month of April. On April 8th at 1 o'clock, it's a Monday afternoon, we will be doing a reminiscent group with Home Instead Senior Care, and he will be bringing in some artifacts that he has found in his journeys and explaining them and kind of doing a show and tell. So that is Monday, April 8th at 1 o'clock. On Thursday, April 11th, the town of Norwood is starting a compost program with Black Earth. So our selectman, Bob Donnelly, will be here to tell you about the program and answer any questions that you have. So that is at 1 o'clock on Thursday, April 11th. And then we are celebrating our chief. On Tuesday, April 16th at 11:30, we will be doing a little celebration of the chief here at the Norwood Senior Center. The chief has been amazing to us. He's great to the whole community, especially the older adults in Norwood. So we're going to have a little light lunch and a visit from the chief. Please call and sign up for this event so we know how many people are coming. We're super excited. We're also bittersweet because we're losing a great chief, but we are gaining a great one. So we're looking forward to that event, but please call and sign up for that. And then Friday, April 19th, Elvis is coming to the Senior Center. We are going to have a pizza luncheon and entertainment by Elvis. The cost of that program is $5, and again, you must sign up for that program as well. And then we are ending the month on Friday, April 26th with a performance from a Chinese acrobat. Li Lu is coming to do a demonstration. It's supposed to be amazing. She has been in other places in the area, and we just had to bring her here. So we're super excited about that. So we have a lot going on in April. We really do hope you will join us. Thank you and have a great month.
Last Thursday morning, a ceremony was held at the Cross Pavilion inside Gillette Stadium for Vietnam veterans. NCM was there to capture this amazing event honoring those who have given so much.
Last Thursday, the New England Patriots Foundation and Cross Insurance held a special event to honor, salute, and recognize Vietnam War veterans. The event began with remarks from President of the Foundation, Josh Kraft, Cross Insurance CEO Jonathan Cross, and owner of the Patriots himself, Robert Kraft. The ceremony saw Gold Star wives and each veteran receiving a pin that Josh Kraft described in detail beforehand.
First, here are the pins. I'd like to describe them and what they look like. There's an eagle on the pin, and that represents courage, honor, and dedicated service to our nation. The stripes behind the eagle represent the American flag. The color blue matches the canton of the American flag and signifies vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The color blue also matches the color of the Vietnam War commemoration. Their name is included on each pin to remind each veteran that this is a national initiative, and the pin is the memento of this nation's thanks.
Jonathan Cross talked about the importance of the event and what it meant to him to talk with the veterans that showed up to the Cross Pavilion.
This group, they come out. The weather doesn't slow them down a bit, and it's, to see the look in their eyes, and a lot of them, especially the Vietnam vets, weren't necessarily appreciated when they came home the first time, and so it's nice to be able to show them the recognition that they deserve, and give them a chance to have a moment and feel the appreciation for what they did. Having had a chance, had the honor to talk with a lot of them, they've had some tough years. Some of them shared stories about their last day on their way out of the military. They were told to just forget what happened, and it's not that easy. So just for all of them to know that how much we appreciate and love them, and are thankful for their sacrifice.
If you want to watch the full ceremony, it will be airing on the NCM Community Channel. And you can also go on our website, norwoodcommunitymedia.org, to watch it on demand.
Last week, very sadly, longtime Norwood Public Schools Director of Music and Fine Arts, Mr. Paul Alberta, passed away. NHS retired principal George Yusevich provided NCM a statement on Alberta. In the pursuit of excellence in academics, arts, athletics, and activities, Paul Alberta set the standard for excellence in the arts arena. In his 39-year tenure as teacher, director of music, and director of fine arts, great strides were made in the Norwood Public Schools music and arts program. He was a respected colleague and good friend. He inspired and touched the lives of many, and all became better as a result of his leadership. We will remember Paul Alberta for a life well lived and celebrate his many accomplishments. A true son of the school on the hill and loyal to our flag of blue. We dedicate this news to Mr. Paul Alberta and leave you with the thrill of his lifetime moment when he conducted the Boston Pops in front of his beloved Norwood.
Back in December of 2021, a dream started to become a reality for the town of Norwood. Chatter of the Boston Pops coming to perform on the town common gained momentum.
It all started when back in December, I got a phone call from a representative from DCD Holdings, Automotive Holdings, and they had said that they were interested in sponsoring a show of the Boston Pops to play here in Norwood. And I came to realize that the person on the phone didn't represent the Pops themselves, so I had to take it upon myself to call into the Pops, tell them about the story, that we want to bring the Pops to Norwood, and figure out the logistics behind all that. The first thing I did was I called the Pops. I started emailing into the organization when I didn't hear back right away, and pretty much between the holidays and New Year's, I worked on getting the logistics in place for how can the Pops come out to Norwood.
After getting the green light from the Pops and securing additional donors, the wheels were set in motion. The only thing left to do was to figure out the logistics and how to pull this off. A group of volunteers and town employees stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park.
All in, it probably took hundreds, if not thousands of hours of work to actually make this happen. We would have 2 standing weekly meetings for about the 2 months prior to the event. Prior to that, we had a lot of regular meetings. There was contract negotiations with the Pops, there was some fundraising. We had a group of about 15 volunteers who were sort of our core volunteer group working on it, plus about a half a dozen town staff working on it to make it happen. And that all led up to the day of, which took about 100 volunteers and probably close to 100 town employees on that day, and a lot of other volunteers and town employees supporting them in the background.
June 26, 2022 will go down in Norwood town history as one of the best days on our little town common. Not only did the Boston Pops come to town, but two of our very own were on stage to celebrate and perform with the Boston Pops. Kyle Leonard, a recent graduate of NHS, joined the Pops on stage for a once-in-a-lifetime performance. Kyle talks about performing on the biggest stage of his life so far in front of his hometown.
Yeah, I was just in the car. I was waiting for one of my friends, and the coordinator called me and said, "This is what we're gonna play. It's definitely happening." I was dumbfounded. Because I was told it could happen and it couldn't. There was a lot of things that had to happen for it to actually work. And when he called me and then he actually said, "We're playing the piece that I picked," it was surreal. Pure happiness. And this is actually happening. Every day it kind of got closer. I was like, whoa, this is happening 3 days from now, 2 days from now, tomorrow, today, in a couple hours. And just finally getting on that stage, it was a great feeling.
Kyle wasn't the only local legend on stage with the Pops. Retired Director of Fine Arts and founder of the NHS music program, Paul Alberta, joined the Pops on stage to conduct the finale. Paul Alberta recounts the moments from walking up those stairs and entering the stage as he looked out to see the residents of Norwood, family, friends, and former students.
I'm gonna choke up here. It was the thrill of my life. I looked out and to see Norwood react that way was fabulous. I had a ball from there. I had a ball. The orchestra was so responsive to everything that I did. They were into it. Of course, I knew a couple of the players in the orchestra anyway. But the greatest thing for me is twofold. Was the 150th birthday committee telling me that they unanimously and enthusiastically supported me conducting and being a part of the program meant the world to me, because it's like usually 2 years after you retire from a place, it's like, Paul who, you know? But this has been 20 years, and the people, the way they responded with affection, with enthusiasm, it's something I'll never forget.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for, it's an honor to share the stage with Paul Alberta.
After teaching in Norwood for 39 years, Alberta knows, once a Mustang, always a Mustang.
This has been my first job, was Norwood, and I stayed for 39 years, and Norwood is like home to me. Norwood has been everything to me, my whole professional life. I love Norwood. I love the people. This will always be my place.
Kyle gives special thanks to his family and his music teachers, Steve Conant and Paul Alberta, who he was able to share the stage with for the last piece of Sunday's show.
That just felt like a full circle moment, just like closing out my musical career in Norwood for now. It was amazing.
Keith Lockhart, conductor of the Boston Pops Orchestra, was thrilled to be able to perform and celebrate Norwood's 150th birthday celebration in front of the Norwood residents.
The Boston Pops is a worldwide famous organization, but really we're local, and we are so excited to be connected with our fans and our community, and Norwood turning 150 is a great chance to get out together and celebrate this wonderful town and bring the Boston Pops into the community. So we're so glad to be here.
It was a sigh of relief and joy when the Pops finally took the stage after months of planning. General Town Manager Tony Mizuko recaps the moments when he was able to sit back and take it all in.
So there was this immense sense of both relief and pride when you could see, or when I could look out and see, we've estimated about 4,500 people right here on the Common on a beautiful June day listening to the Boston Pops play right here on our Common. There was that sense of relief that the event is finally here, that it started, that they're playing, and sort of all that, the stress and the drama and all the million little battles you fight to make something like this happen, all sort of went away in that moment. And to see the smile on people's faces, to see them cheering and enjoying it, and kids enjoying it, and older folks enjoying it, and family, was just absolutely wonderful.
Mizuko tweeted later that night, "Sometimes they say there's no such thing as a perfect day. But at least in Norwood, I think today was a perfect day."